management. Know the difference.
You know how I know President Biden is incompetent? Because he can't even do socialism properly. Normally, you rob from the rich and give to the poor. But with his student loan debt forgiveness proposal that's going to be announced in just a couple of hours, he's robbing from the poor to give to the rich. Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Senator Ron Johnson joins me at 9:20. At 10:20, we play Guess What's Racist? At 10:06, an encore presentation. For those who missed it, you want to tune in at 10:06. The radical left-wing political machine behind Mandela Barnes. In order to understand who Wisconsin's Democrat Senate candidate is, you need to understand that he is not, at his heart, a Democrat. He's a member of the Radical Working Families Party. This isn't just some fringe political party. This is a movement that founded in New York in 1998. It was, for all intents and purposes, the biggest political machine in Democratic Party politics, really, since the fall of Tammany Hall. And if you think about it, it has been selecting Democrat candidates in New York for the better part of 2 decades now, and Barnes was a founding member of the Working Families Party here in Wisconsin. Also, Governor Evers announces $600 million in tax cuts roughly a year after he proposed $1 billion in tax increases. I wonder what the reason is for such a quick conversion. Oh yeah, there's an election coming up in 3 months. If you would like to join the program at any time, our numbers are 414-799-1130. That's the AccuNet Mortgage Talk and Text line. You can reach us toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Email the program, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. You can watch us streaming live on Twitter, Facebook, and our YouTube channel. Just search for the Dan O'Donnell Show on YouTube. iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest. Word this hour is festival. Festival. If you text the word festival to 200-200 right now or at any time before 55 past the hour, you'll be entered into a contest for a chance to win a trip for two to the festival in Las Vegas, September 23rd and 24th. You get round-trip airfare for two nights hotel stay, ground transportation, and tickets to both nights of the festival, plus a $1,000 gift card. And before you say, well, I have no chance of winning, no one ever wins these contests. We had the winner on this program yesterday. 9 a.m., national winner, Dan O'Donnell Show. Today's winner could be you. And a reminder, we only play this contest 3 times a day, 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5 p.m. across all of the iHeartMedia-owned stations. So your best chance to win right now, text the word festival to 200-200. President Biden can't even seem to get the redistribution of wealth right. He's going to announce today a plan to cancel $10,000 in student loan debt. This is federally held student loan debt, not private student loan debt, for borrowers earning up to $125,000 per year. It's quite possibly the single biggest transfer of wealth from poor to rich that a Democrat has ever proposed. Somewhere Bernie Sanders is weeping. The average college graduate earns over his or her lifetime $1.2 million more over his non-college graduate peer. The unemployment rate right now for college graduates is 2.9%, far lower than the national rate and significantly lower than the unemployment rate of 4.6% for high school graduates or graduates of high school who have had some college. But those income earners who decided not to take on massive student loans will be helping foot the bill for their more affluent and better employed peers. Researchers at the University of Chicago determined that President Biden's plan will shift an estimated $192 billion in earned income to the top 20% of wage earners. Just $29 billion would go to the bottom 20%. The bottom 20% of wage earners in this country almost universally have not gone to college, almost universally have not taken out student loans. The top 20% almost universally have. Now, the Federal Reserve estimates that across the income spectrum, so people of all incomes, President Biden's plan will will lead to more than 31% of all borrowers, approximately 12 million in total, having their entire student loan debt eliminated. That would be roughly $321 billion forgiven in an instant. That's because so many borrowers have less than $10,000 of student loans remaining. With inflation still at a record high, 8.5% year over year. I know this month when the inflation numbers for July came out, the Biden administration was rather hilariously crowing. Inflation was flat. Month to month, inflation was flat. We've reached peak inflation. It's going to go down. Yet we're still paying 8.5% more for everything than we were just a year ago, and about 15% more than 2 years ago. This would be inflationary because all of a sudden it would be injecting more money into an already inflationary environment. Now, you might remember Larry Summers. He's a former Treasury Secretary. He's a former economic advisor. He's a Democrat and a liberal Democrat. He was also the only liberal economist who was predicting at the outset of President Biden's term in office that if he passed the $1.9 trillion stimulus, just giving out checks to people after a full year of stimulus in 2020 because of COVID-19, we would have massive inflation. He was, of course, poo-pooed, and what happened? We had massive inflation. A couple of days ago, he tweeted out, "Student loan debt relief is spending that raises demand and increases inflation. It consumes resources that could be better used helping those who did not, for whatever reason, have the chance to attend college. It will also tend to be inflationary by raising tuitions." What he's saying is that because people will have an extra $100, $200, $300, depending on what their monthly payment is on their student loans, in their pocket, they'll spend that. We've already had massive consumer spending because of stimulus payments. And because productivity hasn't gone up, because there's been a supply chain crunch since COVID-19, that's led to massive inflation. Now, the sudden influx of $700 billion plus from the ironically titled Inflation Reduction Act and $300 billion in student loan debt forgiveness will create more than $1 trillion in new inflationary pressure at the exact moment when the country's economy can least deal with it. Now, moreover, President Biden does not have the legal authority to unilaterally cancel student debt. Even cancel student debt is a misnomer. It's a wealth transfer. It's transferring the payments to taxpayers, many of whom never took out student loans or never even went to college. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, believe it or not, has said multiple times over the past year that President Biden simply cannot do what he's going to propose today and cancel student loan debt.
People think that the President of the United States, is this more on the subject than you ever want to know? Will you let me know? People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress.
Now, the Department of Education, Biden's own Department of Education, agreed. It declared earlier this year the president, quote, does not have the statutory authority to cancel, compromise, discharge, or forgive on a blanket or mass basis principal balances of student loans and or to materially modify the repayment amounts or terms thereof. Biden's plan is therefore unlawful. And it's also politically reckless. It would subsidize the affluent at the expense of the very people that good old working class Joe promised to represent. Their taxes, your taxes, if you didn't go to college or if you paid off your student loans like most people are expected to. In other words, if you did the right thing, if you contracted with a college or contracted with a federal government or contracted with a bank or a lending agency to get a product. And that product is a college education. It is you entered into a contract and you honored the terms of that contract. You're a sucker. Under President Biden's plan, people who didn't do the right thing, people who are still paying or are doing the right thing and simply trying to pay down their debt, they get an advantage. Why? Because President Biden is desperate. Despite a full month now of the pundit class telling us that maybe Democrat losses in the midterms aren't going to be as bad as we fear, he clearly sees that they are. He gave himself a deadline of August 31st, which is in just a couple of days, I believe a week from today, August 31st, to get a student loan proposal out there. What he's come up with, it's no coincidence that he is announcing it right before we head into the midterm election cycle so that this can be something. In other words, the biggest base of support for Democrats right now is college-educated, suburban and urban affluent liberals. That is their base right now. The only people in America who seemingly want this done are those precise people, because what this tends to do is harbor resentment for people who are making more money. Let's say you've got an attorney who's making $100,000, family income $100,000, only the dad works, mom is lucky enough to be able to stay home and raise the young kids. You've got, let's say, I don't know. I would say plumber, but plumbers make a ton of money. And in fact, that's the great secret about the skilled trades. You can make a great living without ever having to get yourself into significant amounts of debt. But let's say someone is just trying to make ends meet and they're working at a restaurant. They're working as a server. They're working as a hostess or something like that, or a cook, and they're making $30,000. That person would have to subsidize essentially a political election year gift to someone making $100,000. If President Biden is a socialist, he's a terrible one because he is quite literally robbing the poor to pay the rich. Coming up next on the Dan O'Donnell Show, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson joins us live to talk about President Biden's plan and much, much more.
Classical conservatism. Contemporary style. The Dan O'Donnell Show is coming right back.
Hey, if your business survived COVID and you've got 5 or more employees, do you know you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of $26,000 per employee? This isn't a loan. There isn't any payback. It's a refund of your taxes. The challenge is getting it. How do you cut through all the red tape and get your business the refund it deserves? Go to getrefunds.com. Their tax attorneys are specialists, and they do all the work. There's no charge up front. They just share a percentage of the cash that they get for you. The team at getrefunds.com has already returned over $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even if you had an increase in sales, you could be eligible too. So don't miss out, because this payroll tax refund is only available for a limited time. Don't miss out. Go to getrefunds.com. No risk, high reward. Getrefunds.com.
Tired of all the homeowner headaches? Just inherited a property? Do you want to leave the landlord life behind you? Whatever your reason, visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com and we can help you sell your home fast for cash. Get quick cash for your home regardless of its current condition. We're a local family business rated A+ by the BBB and will make you a fair cash offer for your house as is within 24 hours. Just visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com to find out how you can sell your home fast. No fees, no commissions, just cash. That's MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com.
The global economic group headed by China and Russia, called BRICS, is dedicated to challenging the dollar. This means the dollar will be further damaged, and along with it, the purchasing power of Americans. This is Stephen K. Bennett. I want to remind you that you can still protect your hard-earned savings from world events. How? By diversifying your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To claim your free info kit on gold IRAs, simply text the word PROTECT to 989898. It's critical you get this information before the dollar is further eroded and you lose even more of your hard-earned money. So text PROTECT to the number 989898. That's PROTECT to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation or purchase required. Take action today.
As a small business owner, the last thing you need are nonsense fees on internet and phone service. Spectrum Business doesn't have any of the nonsense fees other providers charge.
CenturyLink charges me a facility relocation cost recovery fee.
I have AT&T, and I'm paying an administrative expense fee.
Switch to Spectrum Business and get the best value for business internet and phone with no nonsense. Visit spectrum.com/business.
Michael emails the Dan O'Donnell Show. Hi, Dan. What happens in a year or two when there are new people with student loans? Do we pay those loans off too? Yes, this is the sort of thing that's going to come up every single election year, I think, from here to eternity, where Democrats are going to try to give election year essentially bribes. If you vote for us, we'll be able to pay off your student loans. Joining us now to talk about that and much, much more, Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Sir, welcome to the program. Glad to have you here.
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
So what do you make of President Biden's proposal that's apparently going to be announced later today to forgive up to $10,000 in student loans, essentially transferring the burden onto taxpayers who might have or might not have ever gone to college or taken out a student loan, and that this is going to be for people who make up to $125,000 per year, which is upper middle class or an upper class income?
Well, it's grossly unfair. I don't have the exact stats, but it seems like a very high percentage of this loan forgiveness will be going to people at the top end of the income spectrum. So this all really started going south when the government took over the federal student loan program to pay for Obamacare, which, by the way, it never did. The student loan program taken over by the government now has cost the government hundreds of billions of dollars in loan defaults. We've delayed, put a moratorium on people making payments to it. Listen, I've got a great deal of sympathy for students, young people who've been enticed to incur a great deal of student loan debt. That's what the government has done. We've enticed our children without really educating them in terms of, some point in time you have to pay this back, and you're going to need a degree that has value in the marketplace so that you can earn enough money to pay this loan off. But again, government makes people dependent on itself, on government, and then they just start spending money, hundreds of billions of dollars. Dan, I remember when an expenditure, a program that was being proposed that would cost $100 billion unpaid for was shocking. Now, else people act like it's just pocket change, but we keep doing this. $1.25 trillion for infrastructure. $250-300 billion for the China bill. I don't know how much total money is going to be spent on the latest Joe Manchin and the green energy boondoggle. I mean, we just don't have this money. It's all inflationary. We're at 8.5% inflation right now. A dollar that you held at the start of the Biden administration is worth 88.3 cents. So think about that for a minute. You hear 8.5% inflation, but when you put it in terms of the dollar held at the start of the Biden administration is now worth 88.3 cents. That is the damage being done because of Democrat policies and Democrat governance. So I guess if you're getting a student loan paid off, it feels pretty good. But it's going to have some pretty harmful effects to our economy, to inflation, and it's grossly unfair kids didn't go to college, or people that were responsible and could manage their student loan debt and actually paid it off. It's grossly unfair.
Last year, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said President Biden, or any president, does not have the unilateral authority to cancel student loan debt. Listen to this.
People think that the President of the United States, is this more on the subject than you ever want to know? Will you let me know? People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not. He can postpone, he can delay, but he does not have that power. That has to be an act of Congress.
Biden's own Department of Education said the exact same thing. What would happen? What would be the mechanism for stopping this patently unlawful proposal from going forward? It clearly requires congressional approval, but Biden's going to do it anyway. Is the remedy a lawsuit to stop this, or what?
Well, Democrats are in charge of both chambers of Congress, so they're not going to challenge it. I suppose that has to be a lawsuit that'll take probably years filtering through the courts. Remember, the Supreme Court ruled that the administration had no authority to put a moratorium on lease payments either. And Biden administration, even after that Supreme Court ruling, said, we don't care, we're going to do it anyway. I mean, this is a lawless administration. They don't care. So he is not faithfully executing the laws of this country. He's not securing the border. He just thumbs his nose at the Constitution. He thumbs the nose at our judicial system. But he knows it takes quite some time to have this filter through the courts, and by that point in time, the damage will be done. The loans have been forgiven. The money will have been spent and cause greater inflation. So again, it's just grotesque arrogance. It's hubris. It's unconstitutional. It's unlawful. But the Biden administration did. Let's face it, Joe Biden never seems to have been constrained by laws. Take a look at Hunter.
Yeah. That's an excellent point. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson joining me here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Sir, on Monday, we presented an exclusive investigation, the radical left-wing political machine behind Mandela Barnes, your opponent in the upcoming Senate election. Barnes is a founding member of Wisconsin's Working Families Party, which has been behind some of the most radical politicians and ideas in this state. The National Working Families Party, Barnes gave the official party response to President Trump's 2019 State of the Union address, has been responsible for the defund the police movement, was a big backer of that even before the death of George Floyd in 2020. The idea that we need to pack the Supreme Court, eliminate the Senate filibuster, even add states to the union to give Democrats an insurmountable advantage in the Senate, essentially adding senators from liberal new states. What is your response to this revelation that Barnes is as radical as people have suspected him to be?
Well, I was actually in the car listening to your segment there. It was excellent. It would be nice if every Wisconsinite could hear that report, understand what a radical leftist Mandela Barnes is. Chances are they won't, because the mainstream media is part and parcel of the Democrat Party. They're not journalists anymore. They're advocates. And so they'll cover up for Mandela Barnes just like they covered up for Joe Biden. Remember, he was the moderate. They helped him get elected even though he campaigned from the basement. So I expect the same type of kid-glove treatment with Mandela Barnes on the part of the press. And, when you got more than $50 million already spent assassinating my character falsely, all those false attack ads, this election is really going to boil down to truth versus lies and distortion. All of our ads will be truthful. We'll be able to point out exactly who Mandela Barnes is. We'll be able to tell the truth about him. The Democrat campaign is all lies. They're all distortions. And that's why I keep saying that the 2020 election for the U.S. Senate race is literally truth versus lies and distortions. And I just hope and pray that the truth can prevail.
Do you believe the truth will prevail?
Well, I got to hope. Dan, all I can tell you, I'm up against massive amounts of spending. I'm up against the media. They're very good. They are very good at assassinating people's character, playing class envy, distorting things beyond any reasonable recognition of things I say, or I mean, for example, the tax cut that I got for more than 20 million tax filers. Without me, 95% of American businesses wouldn't have got a tax cut. They wouldn't have been able to compete with the big guys. They wouldn't have been able to survive the pandemic. That's been just twisted into, I carved out a special deal for myself. When you cut taxes for everybody gets a tax cut. So again, that's one of the more effective distortions. I doubled my wealth. Well, I'm the only guy that I know of that actually took all my marketable securities and turned it into cash. My wealth doubled because I sold my business. It went from book value to market value. I've got no conflict of interest. I should have quadrupled my wealth like most people in their 401ks did, because that's what the stock market did while I've been U.S. Senator. So, I suppose the criticism should be I'm an awful investor. But they take that, they use it that way, and they play class envy. It's only successful Republicans that get attacked. Successful Democrats never get questioned.
No, they don't. And that's why we are, sir, presenting an encore of the radical left-wing political machine behind Mandela Barnes coming up at 10:06 this morning on the Dan O'Donnell Show. If you didn't hear it on Monday, even if you did hear it on Monday, it's worth listening to again, because we are going to lay out just how radically socialist left-wing Barnes is. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson joining me on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Sir, always a pleasure having you on. Do appreciate it.
Have a great day. Keep up the good work. Take care.
Thank you, sir. I am Dan O'Donnell, and we will be right back. Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for my great friends at Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattresses. Built Right's Labor Day sale is on now. Shop where the O'Donnell family shops 4 generations, 94 years strong. Now, more than ever, is the time to support Built Right, a locally and family-owned business since 1928. Holiday guarantee. With an over 45,000 square foot showroom, you'll find thousands of items in stock or order select quick ship styles for guaranteed delivery by the holidays. Over 64 dining sets plus 35 Amish-made in stock. Over 50 styles of power lift recliners in stock. Over 30 styles of sleepers sofas in love seat full and queen sizes in stock, and much more. Shop Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for personalized shopping. Call to book an appointment. Sunday closed to be with family. Make sure to tell them Dan O'Donnell sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
The Difference, a new and informative podcast series presented by Annex Wealth Management. Conversation and informed opinion with WISN's Dan O'Donnell and Dave Spano of Annex Wealth Management. The Difference, available on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you find your favorite podcast.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, August 24th, we're running an unprecedented one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Park Lake Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. Even Cambridge has studied our technology. If you're ready to transform your love life, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that can produce powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. You're going to love that, guys. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, worth $1,200. But call today, Wednesday, and qualify totally free. 414-293-3333. That's 414-293-3333. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Park Lake Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 414-293-3333.
You probably did a double take when you filled up the gas tank this summer. Maybe you drove less or canceled vacation plans. Wisconsin families are dealing with higher prices at the pump thanks to policies from D.C. liberals that cut American energy production. Senator Ron Johnson is fighting to restore American energy independence and help Wisconsin families and small businesses. Small businesses are really feeling the squeeze. Kevin is a project manager for an electrical contractor in Clinton.
We have 80 employees and 40 trucks, and we operate all over. We're paying almost double what we did last year for fuel, and policies from liberals in Washington are making it worse. Senator Ron Johnson is fighting for relief at the pump. He voted to finish the Keystone Pipeline and increase U.S. oil and gas production. That could make a real difference for small businesses like us.
Call Senator Ron Johnson, 414-276-7282. Urge him to pass S-3752, the American Energy Independence from Russia Act. Restore our energy independence. Paid for by One Nation. OneNationAmerica.org.
Let Tri-County Contracting take care of the outside of your home so you don't have to. Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows from Tri-County Contracting. Call us at 262-679-6100 or visit us online at tricountycontractingwi.com.
Brandon from Home Shield here. Remember playing wiffle ball as a kid where you hit the hollow plastic ball with the hollow plastic bat? The ball and bat would always crack after a few whacks, but that's what you get with cheap hollow plastic. It's also what you get with most vinyl windows. Many vinyl windows have hollow plastic frames. They're wiffle ball windows. There's nothing inside them, so they warp, bend, and break down in Wisconsin weather. At Home Shield, we don't do wiffle ball windows. We install solid composite windows. They're made of an advanced polymeric composite, and they're solid all the way through. They stay straight, rigid, and ultra efficient forever. No warping, no bending, no breaking down. Skip wiffle ball windows. Choose composite windows from Home Shield. Call 262-404-4444 or visit homeshield.com. Right now, you can finance for as low as $14.44 a month. That's 262-404-4444 or homeshield.com.
Identity theft shows no sign of slowing down. In fact, more than $14 billion stolen last year. That's a criminal success story and a wake-up call. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save 25% on their first year of protection with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. LifeLock.com, promo code BECK.
Now at Nye's Hardware in Menominee Falls, save on Milwaukee tools during Nye's August sale event. Reps on site Friday, August 26th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Buy a 7 1/4-inch fuel circular saw or sawzall for $249.99 and get a bonus 6-amp battery, a $179.99 value. Save $100 on select fuel drills or impact wrench kits with trade-in or accessory purchase. Don't miss out on deals like this and more during Nye's August sale event featuring Milwaukee tools. Nye's, Highways 41, 45, and Q in Menominee Falls. Visit NEUSHardware.com for details.
This is it. Your last chance to win $5,000 a week forever from Publishers Clearinghouse. There are just days left to enter. Win $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. But you must enter at PCH.com before it's too late. Leave a legacy for your loved ones. Hurry, time is running out. So enter now at PCH.com. $5,000 a week forever. Don't miss your last chance to win it this August 31st. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/29. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
Conservative thought.
Not just talk.
You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Paul Pelosi, the ultra-wealthy investor who absolutely positively has never made any money off of insider trading, I hope you can tell I'm being sarcastic there, was sentenced for his drunk driving case yesterday, pleaded guilty in California. He got 5 days in jail, but got credit for 2 days already served, 2 days for conduct credit, and his remaining day will be served through a court work program. He'll be on probation for 3 years and pay upwards of $1,700 in fines. In case you are wondering if the rich and powerful and very well connected in California face consequences for their actions, they most certainly do not. It is, after all, California. But dashcam video from Pelosi's arrest was released shortly after the sentence was handed down. And I can tell you, folks, he was schnockered. I mean, you can just see he has got the 1,000-yard stare. He was out there. So no, he's not facing any consequences. He's going to pay a $1,700 fine. What is that? 1 0.0001% of his holdings in NVIDIA. All right, primary elections yesterday in two of the nation's four largest states, New York and Florida. Of course, the big news that the media is focusing on right now is that Jerry Nadler, the Democrat congressman, defeated fellow Democrat Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney in a Democratic primary that was forced by redistricting. Remember, every 10 years we do the census, and the census is used to determine how many Congress people a state gets, state legislative seats and all that. Remember, there was the bitter fight in Wisconsin, had to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. Well, in New York, Carolyn Maloney and Jerry Nadler were drawn into the same district. In other words, both of their districts essentially combined, and they had to face each other in a Democrat primary. Now, this is Manhattan, so there's no chance of a Republican winning in the general election, so this was essentially the general election. Nadler destroyed Carolyn Maloney, and of course, Maloney was blaming misogyny for her loss, and everyone's focused on that. I want to focus, though, on a state Senate primary won by a woman named Kristen Gonzalez. And what do Democrats always say? At least most Democrats. No, we're not open socialists. No, no, no. You have it all wrong. Besides, the Democratic Socialists of America, they don't really advocate for government control of the means of production. Democratic socialism is really the smiley face of Stalinism. But most Democrats will say, no, the Democratic Party is not being taken over by socialists. They're the left wing, just as the Republicans have the fringe right wing. Well, Kristen Gonzalez at her victory party last night just ripped the mask right off of that facade.
I know we're saving the speeches for a little later, but today we really proved that socialism wins. And we will not stop until we see a socialist slate across this city.
Yikes. Well, it turns out there was a socialist state across the city. It was called the Bill de Blasio regime, and crime increased by about 60% in 8 years. So good luck with that, New York. Down in Florida, to absolutely no one's surprise, Ron DeSantis is almost certain to win re-election. How do I know this? Because Charlie Crist, who the old joke goes, a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent, walks into a bar and the bartender says, "Hey, Mr. Crist." In fact, Charlie Crist has been a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent. He's now a Democrat. He won the Democratic nomination against the state agriculture commissioner, Nikki Fried, who's even farther to the left than he is. And Crist, he's polling down just 6 to 8%. But how do people in Florida, who actually would know a bit better, view this race? Mark Caputo during MSNBC's election night coverage last night.
Well, I'll tell you what Democrats make of the odds. Both consultants, grassroots activists, lawmakers, and former lawmakers, all Democrats, some Crist supporters, some Fried supporters. I spoke to more than 20 for the article we just moved. None of them give Charlie Crist much of a chance. In fact, a Crist advisor said to me that this is basically the Powerball election. Like, hey, we still got a chance. The chances of winning the average Powerball is 1 in 292.4 million.
Can't win if you don't play, Mark. Can't win if you don't play.
This is true.
I'm just saying.
You miss all of the shots you don't take, right? So
Crist is taking his shot, but it's not a good one. Now, there are going to be polls, and this is the broader point I want to highlight here. There are going to be polls that are going to show Crist within the margin of error. In fact, there's an article up at nationalreview.com in which the columnist is fretting, oh my goodness, because of the Trump raid at Mar-a-Lago. He's a Florida resident. He's writing for National Review, and he says, the Trump raid in Mar-a-Lago was a seismic event down here in Florida. Well, buddy, it was a seismic event all across the country. And he said, this is sort of fractured the state's GOP, and Donald Trump is sort of an anchor around the neck of DeSantis, and Marco Rubio is going to face stiff competition from Val Demings. And there was a poll, it was an incredible outlier a couple of weeks ago, I believe we highlighted it on this program, that showed Demings leading by 4. The same sort of dynamics, I think, in Florida are at play here in Wisconsin. We've got what's going to be a hotly contested Senate race with a vulnerable Republican incumbent and a governor. Now, the dynamics are a little different because the incumbent governor in Florida is obviously a Republican and a very, very popular Republican, but a Democrat incumbent in Wisconsin. Rubio is consistently led in this race, and Demings is a strong opponent. But if Ron DeSantis is as strong as apparently every Democrat consultant in Florida thinks he is, what chance does Val Demings have of splitting that vote? In other words, I just don't believe that in Wisconsin, in Florida, or anywhere else for that matter, you're going to see that many vote splitters. So if DeSantis is going to win, DeSantis is very, very popular. He's actually relatively popular in Florida, as popular as a Republican can be amongst independents, given the constant negative barrage of media coverage. That's going to raise the fortunes of Rubio. So, too, will Ron Johnson, who, yes, is trailing in the polls to man deadbeat Barnes, raise Tim Michels or vice versa. If Barnes wins, Evers likely wins. If Johnson wins, then it's almost certain that Michels is going to win as well. Now, we've had polling that would suggest that, oh my goodness, big red wave rising. But the actual vote totals in the Wisconsin Republican primary, which are a pretty good indicator of voter enthusiasm, showed that Republicans are raring to go this election. Florida, however, is a far redder state than Wisconsin is. In fact, Florida and Ohio were sort of seen throughout the early 2000s as the ultimate swing states. Remember, it was Florida that decided, everybody knows Florida decided the 2000 election. 2004 was essentially decided in Ohio when, I will remind you, and I have to, every time I bring up the 2004 presidential election, I've got to remind liberals that they were convinced that the voting machines were rigged, that if you pushed the button for John Kerry, it registered a vote for George W. Bush. They don't see the irony of screaming bloody murder about Republicans raising questions about Dominion voting machines in 2020. 16 years earlier, they were doing the exact same thing. Do we call them election deniers today? We most certainly do not. But Florida and Ohio are far redder than they were. In fact, in 2018, both Ohio and Florida elected statewide. This was the race, of course, where DeSantis was elected governor against a guy who was the Democratic Party's darling. He was seen as the next Obama, Andrew Gillum, who later on was arrested high on drugs and naked in a hotel. You think I'm making that up? But he was seen as the next big Democrat superstar. DeSantis beat him. Florida, too, we saw statewide elections go for Republicans, and this was significant because those were big Democrat years in pretty much every other state. Scott Walker lost re-election. Tammy Baldwin easily won re-election in 2018 because of a big blue wave. Now what's going on is a concerted attempt right now to convince Americans that there is no red wave building, that President Biden has racked up all of these victories, and that the Democrats are going to defy the odds. They're going to, just like Mark Caputo said of Charlie Crist's chances, they're going to win the Powerball election. They've got a slight chance, but you know what they're going to do? Folks, we hear this every single midterm. Every single time we hear for this reason or that reason or whatever reason, Democrats usually, but it's always the party out of power is not going to do as well as you think. The party in power is going to stave off the red wave or the blue wave. And these stories always seem to happen. It's amazing how often polls and pundits alike will overestimate Democrats' chances. It is absolutely remarkable. We had the story earlier this week that showed 76% of polls in 2020, 76%, which, believe it or not, other than the presidential election, was actually a pretty good year for Republicans. Up and down the ballot, save for the presidential election. Why do you think, by the way, that Democrats are so desperate to make this election about Donald Trump? Because they know if they're running against standard issue Republicans on the issues in those races, chances are they're going to lose. Now, what we heard running up to 2020 is that Trump was going to get shellacked. He's going to lose by 7-8 points. There was a poll like 3 weeks before the election in Wisconsin that showed Trump losing the state by 11 points. It was so laughable. It almost defied belief. 76% of polls in the run-up to 2020 overestimated Democrat support. We see similar stories in 2018, 2016, and 2014. And all of those polls that overestimate Democrat support, all of the articles that are written saying, you know what, Democrats won't do as badly as you might think, are written right now. And they're all done to shape perception, to make you think that Republicans have no chance, that Ron Johnson has no chance of winning, that even Ron DeSantis down in Florida might be losing to Charlie Crist. Listen to what Democrats are saying behind the scenes, though. Crist has no chance. Republicans are almost certain to do better than you might think. Unhinged Liberal of the Day, next. Hey, Dan here. If your business has 5 or more employees and it managed to survive COVID-19, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on this. How do you cut through the red tape and get your business the refund money? Go to getrefunds.com. Their tax attorneys are specialists in this little-known payroll tax refund program, and it is a refund of your taxes. It's not a loan. There's no payback or anything like that. The attorneys at getrefunds.com do all the work. There's no charge up front. They simply share a percentage of the cash that they get for you. And the team at getrefunds.com has already returned over $1 billion to businesses. They can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com and click on Qualify Me, answer a couple questions, and you're on your way. Don't miss out. Go to getrefunds.com. No risk, high reward, getrefunds.com.
Hey, you've heard me talk about the fact that with interest rates going up now and likely a lot more in the future, Goldman Sachs even predicts 11 in 2 years, it will impact buyers' ability to buy a home. If you're thinking about selling your home, maybe you need to sell it now before more buyers get priced out of the market. Now more than ever, you need an experienced real estate agent that can bring you a smart strategy to generate multiple offers from the right buyers to net you the most money. I'm talking about Justin Hoffman of Remax Realty Pros. Now, Justin spends thousands of dollars every month to attract thousands of buyers, which helps sell a home on average every 28 hours for up to $25,000 over the asking price. Make the smart move. Get the options to put the most money in your pocket. You can give Justin a call right now at 414-604-1454. Or just Google Team Hoffman and check out over 500 5-star reviews.
Carnivore, Milwaukee's premier steakhouse, invites you to dine downtown this summer. For almost 15 years, Carnivore has redefined the meaning and expectation of fine dining. The award-winning wine list and impressive craft cocktails are just the beginning. Step off the city street and into a modern, sophisticated steakhouse, where classic experiences meet modern experiences. Book your table and join us for a night out you'll never forget. Carnivore.com. Join us on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates.
Homeless animals need your help. And right now, every dollar you give to the Wisconsin Humane Society will be matched by a generous group of donors up to $270,000. The shelters are caring for hundreds of cats and dogs who desperately need you. It's critical to send your gift now to double your impact for animals. Up to $270,000 available right now to match every dollar you give. If you'd like to make a gift, simply go to wihumane.org/summermatch. That's wihumane.org/summermatch.
Identity theft shows no sign of slowing down. In fact, more than $14 billion stolen last year. That's a criminal success story and a wake-up call. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save 25% on their first year of protection with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. LifeLock.com, promo code BECK.
Old National Bank is asking businesses to get old. But first, they have questions.
Who runs my business if I get old?
You do. You can get old and remain young.
Is that possible?
With a commercial bank as good as Old National, yes.
What will it feel like to get old?
Well, business owners describe a feeling of euphoria, having local decision-making and committed relationship bankers.
Okay, one old guy coming up.
Introducing Old National Bank, where business relationships and results matter. Old National Bank. Get old. Member FDIC.
Rep the crew with the free Brewers Bucket Hat on Friday, August 26th. Available to all fans 21 and up with Miller Lite Beer Pen tickets for the Crew's weekend opener versus the Cubs. Get your seats for the series now at brewers.com/tickets.
Do you owe more than $25,000 to the IRS and state? Call Alliance Tax Resolution Firm today for a free consultation with our tax experts and see how relief from tax debt is possible. 262-786-4442 or AllianceTaxUSA.com.
Tommy Mello here, owner of A1 Garage Doors. Call A1 Garage Doors for all your garage door needs and you'll be smiling today.
A1Garage.com. A1 from day one.
I'm Dan Small. Join me and Jeff Kelm for Outdoors Radio, Saturday mornings at 6 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Brought to you by the Range of Richfield, the ultimate shooting experience on Helson Drive in Richfield and online at therangewi.com.
Conservative thought, not just talk. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
And every day here on the program, we try to highlight the liberal who goes above and beyond the normal excesses of unhinged liberalism to really set a new standard in the art of being crazy in public. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time now to name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
You know, listening to the theme song for Unhinged Liberal of the Day, I thought for a while about replacing some of those sound bites because they're all focused on Donald Trump. And after Trump left the presidency, I thought, you know what? Maybe we need to freshen things up. 18 months later, they're still just as obsessed with Donald Trump as they were the day he left office. For goodness sakes, they impeached him after he was... They held an impeachment trial against a president who was no longer president. Think about how absurd that is. Today's unhinged liberal of the day is MSNBC's Nicole Wallace, who, after the conviction of two men in the obviously FBI-directed plot to kidnap Michigan's Governor Gretchen Whitmer, she said every single one of the terror threats that America faces right now directly stems from Donald Trump.
It's just so amazing that 21 years after 9/11, all the threats to the homeland are homegrown and spurred on and exacerbated by a twice impeached ex-president. It's amazing.
No, what's amazing is that someone could actually believe that. I want you to listen to that again. Take the music down just a little bit, Producer Dave, please. You need it, all of the threats to America's homeland, not a nuclear Iran, not the terrorist playground that President Biden allowed Afghanistan to become again, not North Korea, not any other rogue state, not Vladimir Putin interfering in another election and trying to rig it for Donald Trump in 2024. No, all of the threats to the United States of America come from Trump.
It's just so amazing that 21 years after 9/11, all the threats to the homeland are homegrown and spurred on and exacerbated by by a twice impeached ex-president. It's amazing.
Let's flag this one because this year we're going to name an unhinged liberal of the year, Dave. And this would be a very strong contender. Nicole Wallace of MSNBC, who never fails to rank highly in our unhinged liberal of the day rankings, is your winner today. Coming up after the 10 o'clock news, I promise you are not going to want to miss this. The radical left-wing, and I mean far left-wing political machine that is behind Mandela Barnes. He is a founding member. He's trying desperately to keep his ties to the Working Families Party secret, but we rip the mask right off of the radicalism that has always been a hallmark of Mandela's career. It is a fascinating investigation, and it is coming up next. Stay tuned.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Tensions rise in Syria. Good morning, I'm Terry Bell on News Talk 1130 WISN. The U.S. military says it's launched airstrikes against targets in eastern Syria. The strikes were aimed at protecting American forces from Iranian-backed groups. Republican challenger Tim Michels says Governor Evers botched the Kenosha riots.
Is the 2-year anniversary of perhaps his largest failure. That's a situation where I would send in the guard. This should not happen.
Evers says he did everything Kenosha officials asked him to do. One person is dead after a crash on Interstate 43 at Pioneer Road last night. Investigators say a truck drifted into a crash barrier, rolled over, and killed the driver. Checking the Drake & Associates sports scoreboard, the Brewers are at the Dodgers tonight. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Terry Bell.
The news is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
It's Dan O'Donnell for Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. It's not very often in today's economy that you'll find a deal this good on such a premium brand. Right now at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, you can have beautiful Pella windows installed in your home and pay just 2.99% financing that's locked in for 10 years. Or if you'd rather, choose free blinds or shades between the glass on lifestyle premium wood patio doors or Impervia fiberglass patio doors. You have to take advantage of deals like this one while they last, especially in today's climate. Not only are these types of offers getting harder and harder to come by with such a low interest rate locked in for 10 years, but there's just no telling how long it may be until you see an offer like this come around again. So don't miss an incredible opportunity to have beautiful Pella windows installed while paying only 2.99% interest across 10 years. Visit PellaWI.com.
When Las Vegas hosts a music festival with the hottest acts on the planet, you have to be there. Play the nationwide text-to-win iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest now through September 9th, and you could find yourself in the middle of the action. Contest times are weekdays at 9, 1, and 5, with hourly winners getting a trip for 2 to Vegas plus $1,000 cash.
The iHeartRadio Music Festival Flyaway Contest is presented by American Companies of West Bend. Let American companies handle all aspects of your commercial building project. TeamACS.net.
Here's the Bryant Heating and Cooling forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
It'll be another warm and humid day today with high temps getting to the mid-80s, partly sunny skies. Tonight, rain chances do return, continue on through into Thursday afternoon, but mostly cloudy skies overall. But a nice end of the week as we consider Friday and Saturday. Fox 6 meteorologist Eric Mangus.
This report is sponsored by LP SmartSide Trim and Siding. Visit lpcorp.com/pro. Are you looking for siding that is a cut above the rest? LP SmartSide Trim and Siding helps you efficiently install more siding in less time. Side with advanced durability. Side with LP SmartSide Trim and Siding. Visit lpcorp.com/pro to learn more.
Welcome to This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell here alongside the president and CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And this week, the eyes of the financial world, Dave, are going going to be on Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah, that's right. And so annually there's a symposium, Dan, that all of these economists get together. And it's not just the Federal Reserve, it's economists, it's hedge fund managers, but we're also going to see people from the Bank of England and the Bank of Japan and around the world. And why that's important is because of monetary theory around the world. In every one of these areas, they have their own concerns. For example, in England, right now, inflation is above 13%, and fuel continues to be a very big issue. We just heard this past week that the Russians are probably going to slow down or stop Nord Stream altogether, and that is, of course, their input to energy into England, and of course, issues on the other side of the world in China and Japan. So the United States continues to be concerned about inflation, and that is going to be the key concern coming out of Jackson Hole. What is the Federal Reserve going to do? Are they going to continue down this path of raising interest rates until they finally slow down inflation? That is the big question, Dan, and that's where we're going to have to watch. Look for any news reports coming out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, followed up by the Federal Reserve and what they say. Go through your portfolio, folks. Know what you own, why you own it, and how much you're paying for it, because right now, with all of the uncertainty around the world, it's never been more important.
No, it hasn't, and that's why you absolutely do need to get to annexwealth.com for a free portfolio review. It's called a wealth metric, and you can get it by going to annexwealth.com. For Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. Thanks so much for listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Dragons are coming. Step back into the world of Game of Thrones with the new HBO original series, House of the Dragon, now streaming on HBO Max. Each week, return to Westeros for the inside scoop with the official Game of Thrones podcast, House of the Dragon.
Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
Listen to the official Game of Thrones podcast, House of the Dragon, on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
During the State Fair, you got to learn more about some amazing businesses, including the folks at Bathfitter. To celebrate the great success that the State Fair was for them, Bathfitter is extending their State Fair special, so you can soak up in your beautiful new tub very soon. Get 20% off up to $1,203 or no interest until 2027 when you book Bathfitter throughout the entire month of August. Call Bathfitter at 262-395-4925. That's 262-395-4925. You'll be happy you did.
Identity theft shows no sign of slowing down. In fact, more than $14 billion stolen last year. That's a criminal success story and a wake-up call. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save 25% on their first year of protection with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. LifeLock.com, promo code BECK.
The Stuff They Don't Want You to Know podcast delves into popular culture's most persistent mysteries. Now, there's something else that the guys at Stuff They Don't Want You to Know want you to know. They've got a new book coming out. Packed with illustrations, the Stuff They Don't Want You to Know book is written in the same smart conversational style you love hearing on the podcast. Available October 11th. Pre-order now at StuffYouShouldReadBooks.com or wherever you buy your books.
Coming up later this hour, in about, I'd say a half hour or so, we are going to play Guess What's Racist. It is America's favorite game show, and it's your chance to determine what previously benign, decidedly unracist thing is now horribly, terribly racist. Also, an election year conversion from Governor Tony Evers on taxes. He now wants $600 million in tax cuts about a year after he was openly calling for $1 billion in tax increases and then threatening to veto a Republican budget that didn't include said $1 billion in tax increases. We will get to that. By the way, if you'd like to join the program, 414-799-1130 or 1-800-838-9476 are the numbers that you can call. Before we get to that, however, on Monday, we debuted a Dan O'Donnell Show exclusive investigation into the radical ties between Mandela Barnes, Wisconsin's lieutenant governor, and the Working Families Party, less a political party than a political machine. To say that the report made it around the country would be an understatement. It seems no one knew just how close the two were. If you missed any part of that investigation, we've got a treat for you, because right now we present an encore of the radical far-left political machine behind Mandela Barnes.
Good evening. I'm Mandela Barnes, Lieutenant Governor of the great state of Wisconsin, and the youngest Lieutenant Governor in America. I'm also a longtime leader in the Working Families Party.
To understand fully who Mandela Barnes is, one must first understand that he's not, at heart, really a Democrat. He's running as a Democrat and serves as the Democratic Lieutenant Governor of Wisconsin, but he is a founding member and self-described longtime leader of the state's chapter of the Working Families Party, a national left-wing organization responsible for supporting and mainstreaming the most radical ideas and politicians in America. It was the primary force behind Democratic Socialist Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's shocking rise to power in 2018, a major driver of the defund the police movement in 2020, and for years has promoted the abolition of both the Electoral College and Senate filibuster and packing of the Supreme Court for partisan advantage. It is and has since its inception been one of the farthest left political parties in the country, and Barnes has been with it since its beginnings in his state. He even gave the official Working Families Party response to President Trump's State of the Union address in 2019.
I was a member of the Working Families Party before I ran for Lieutenant Governor, because the Working Families Party is committed to building the America that we all want to see.
Founded in New York State in 1998 by union leaders and members of the controversial community organizing group Acorn, the Working Families Party has active chapters in 14 states and the District of Columbia, and calls itself a multiracial party that fights for workers over bosses and people over the powerful. Rather than run its own candidates who would have served as third-party spoilers for Democrats, the Working Families Party took advantage of New York's electoral fusion laws, which allow multiple political parties to list the same candidates. Very often, the Working Families Party would support the most radical Democrat in the field in order to sway the primary vote. In its very first statewide race in 1998, it listed as its candidate Democrat gubernatorial nominee Peter Vallone, who lost in a landslide to incumbent Republican Governor George Pataki. Despite this loss, the Working Families Party received enough votes to qualify for the New York ballot for the next 4 years. Within 6 years of the party's formation, the Communist Party USA was singing the Working Families Party's praises, saying it has built a beautiful working-class multiracial base, and that the efforts of the Working Families Party to expand into more states deserve full support. As it did expand, the Working Families Party started to rack up electoral wins, listing as its 2006 New York gubernatorial candidate Eliot Spitzer, the Democrat who won by a large margin but resigned amid a sex scandal less than 2 years later. The party backed socialist Bill de Blasio for New York public advocate in 2009, and then again when he ran for New York City mayor in 2013. One of de Blasio's closest allies in his rise to power was Bertha Lewis, a Working Families Party leader who had served as the national leader of Acorn when its members were convicted of voter fraud during the 2008 election cycle and caught on undercover video helping purported sex traffickers ply their craft the following year. When the organization was disbanded in 2010, Lewis went to the Working Families Party, and political corruption apparently followed her. A major investigation, published by City Hall News, revealed that the Working Families Party routinely skirted campaign finance laws, engaged in a pay-for-play candidate endorsement process, and gave unlawful in-kind contributions to the candidates it did endorse. By far its most successful candidate in New York City was de Blasio. But his 8 years in office were anything but successful, as crime increased exponentially, especially murder, which was up more than 50% during his tenure. This was due in large part to de Blasio's relentless cutting of the New York Police Department budget, culminating in a staggering $1 billion cut in 2020. Defunding the police was a major component of the Working Families Party's platform even before the death of George Floyd brought the issue to national prominence, and Barnes has been in lockstep with his party for years. He said as much during an interview with PBS Wisconsin in June 2020.
Do you agree that police budgets should be maybe completely done away with or defunded?
Not completely done away with. We need to invest more in neighborhood services and programming for our residents, for our communities on the front end. Where will that money come from? Well, it can come from over-bloated budgets and police departments.
Less than a month later, Barnes tweeted, "Defund the police only dreams of being as radical as a Donald Trump pardon." And in September 2020, he called for the dismantling of the entire system of law enforcement following the decision by a grand jury in Kentucky not to charge police officers in the death of Breonna Taylor. He asked, quote, "You can feel how you want about calls to reform, defund, or abolish, but the question is, how can a system that allows this to happen continue to be upheld?" The Working Families Party has similarly called repeatedly for the abolishment of the nation's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. Barnes has been a quiet but still staunch supporter of the Abolish ICE movement as well. When a member of the Democratic Socialists of America tweeted at him a picture of a red Abolish ICE t-shirt, Barnes responded on July 4th, 2018 with, "I really need that." A few days later, he was pictured smiling and holding up his Abolish ICE shirt. This open hostility to law enforcement is a core tenet of the Working Families Party platform. Earlier this year, it pressured candidates seeking its endorsement to shun the support of law enforcement unions, asking on its questionnaire, "Will you refuse all donations from corporate PACs, real estate developers, police and corrections associations, and the charter school industry?" Likewise, even as bail reform in New York has put thousands of dangerous criminals back on the street and proven to be an unmitigated, unpopular disaster, the questionnaire asks, will you fight to ensure that there are no further rollbacks to bail reform? Once again, Barnes has been in lockstep with the Working Families Party's position on bail reform. As a state representative in 2016, he sponsored a bill that would end cash bail in Wisconsin. That died in committee, but Barnes was undeterred. If elected to the Senate, one of his top aides says he will push to end cash bail nationally. Matty McDaniel told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel earlier this year, the lieutenant governor believes we should decide who is imprisoned before their trial begins based on how much of a risk they pose to the community, not how much money they have. The bottom line is money shouldn't have anything to do with public safety. Rather amazingly, those comments came just 3 months after a man free on low bail rammed his car into the Waukesha Christmas parade, killing 6 people and injuring more than 50 others. Such radicalism is par for the course for the Working Families Party of Wisconsin that Barnes helped found. It doesn't just want to defund the police, but also to, quote, defund the 1% and give the public ownership stakes in all corporations receiving government bailouts. This is open socialism, and Barnes openly supports it. That's why during his run for lieutenant governor in 2018, Wisconsin's Working Families Party gave $27,652 to his campaign. Much like the New York Working Families Party's issues years earlier, this violated campaign finance laws, which capped donations from political action committees at $26,000. Barnes agreed to pay a $1,652 fine, but still rather hypocritically railed against the influence of so-called dark money in politics, saying during a candidate forum in the summer of 2018, "There's a very corrupting influence of money in politics, and we've seen that for a long time. We wouldn't be where we are in Wisconsin if it were not for the corrupting influence of money." Barnes has also railed against so-called election deniers, like his opponent in the upcoming Senate race, Ron Johnson. But when he gave the National Working Party's family response to the 2019 State of the Union address, he lavished praise on Georgia's Stacey Abrams, who had just given the Democratic Party's response. Abrams lost the Georgia governor's race that November, but refused to accept the results, saying that her opponent, Secretary of State Brian Kemp, had effectively rigged the election by suppressing the vote of blacks and Hispanics. Barnes echoed this sentiment in his speech.
Stacey, you're an inspiration to us here in Wisconsin, and an inspiration to the entire country. We are so proud to say that you were born here in Wisconsin. Now, the Working Families Party was an early, enthusiastic supporter of Stacey's run for governor. And I believe that if it were not for deliberate attempts at voter suppression, she'd be governor today.
Barnes's 14-minute address also called for a number of radical left-wing policy proposals long endorsed by the Working Families Party, including mass amnesty for millions of illegal immigrants, as well as government benefits to entice more illegal immigration.
We need an immigration system that treats all people with dignity and with respect. A system that says that no human being is illegal. And in our states, we can start by making sure that immigrants have access to driver's licenses and in-state college tuition, because they too are a part of our community. But Congress must act to create a path for citizenship instead of doubling down on a militarized border wall.
This radical response to the border crisis was actually codified in the Working Families Party's 2020 People's Charter, a list of socialist policies that serves as the organization's platform. It seeks to shift resources away from policing, jails, and detention centers, endless wars and agencies that separate families, extend expanded $600 per week unemployment insurance to everyone regardless of immigration status, cancel rent and suspend debt payments, cancel student debt, and give the public ownership stakes in all corporations receiving COVID-19 bailouts. These are the extreme policies favored by Ocasio-Cortez and her socialist squad, and it should come as no surprise that the Working Families Party has supported each of them since they first rose to power in 2018, and during his 2019 address, Barnes congratulated each of them.
I see hope in a new class of dynamic leaders in Congress who are making this the most progressive Democratic caucus in history. The most diverse Congress. Many were called unlikely candidates, but they're the most likely Americans and represent so many people who haven't always been heard. They're young, smart, hungry, and ready to make a difference. People like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, and Jahana Hayes. They're bringing big, bold ideas to Capitol Hill, and they're changing the status quo in D.C.
And now they're endorsing his candidacy for the Senate. Ocasio-Cortez in June urged supporters to back Barnes in order to do more to pursue her and the Working Families Party's agenda more aggressively. Barnes has also racked up endorsements from other big-name socialist and working families-backed leaders like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. Last year, unsurprisingly, the Working Families Party announced that it was endorsing Barnes' candidacy, and when he won this month's Democrat Senate primary, it congratulated him, calling him a working families champion and crowing about, quote, how strong our movement is when we come together to fight for working families and to build the country of our dreams. In the same message to supporters, the party congratulated Ilhan Omar on her primary win, saying these candidates and the rest of our working families champions need to win in November before they can make the change we need to see. That change, based on the Working Families Party's longtime embrace of left-wing radicalism, will largely be an even further push into socialism, as Barnes would be the first founding member of a state Working Families Party chapter to be elected to the United States Senate. The party is clearly excited about his chances, as well as the possibility of him being the Senate's first member of the squad. As the party put it in a message endorsing the current squad members earlier this year, our progressive coalition in Congress is growing, and so is our power. When we re-elect the squad and elect more progressives to join them, we'll achieve the real working families majority we know is possible. Hey, Dan O'Donnell for the Lynch family of dealerships. Lynch is looking to buy your used car now. Lynch will buy you out of your lease and will pay up to $2,500 over Kelley Blue Book value. Before you make your next car payment, before you make your next lease payment, stop by any of the Lynch family of dealerships in Kenosha, Burlington, Mukwonago, and West Bend, or go to shoplynch.com and click on the Sell Trade tab for an instant cash offer on your vehicle. All makes, all models, and remember, if you're over on your mileage, if you're afraid of excessive wear and tear, they'll purchase your leased vehicles and pay up to $2,500 more than Kelley Blue Book value. Even if you're not in the market to buy a car, Lynch is in the market to buy your car. Visit shoplynch.com.
This is Joe Cordell. In other ads, I've talked about the weighty matters that are on the table in divorce: assets, debts, spousal support, and of course, children. But here I want to talk to you about a troublesome issue that arises early and often in the divorce process, but which attorneys, including myself, say too little about, and that's the cost of a divorce. Yet as important as this factor is, it shouldn't overwhelm the more deserving issues that are raised by divorce. But here are just a few things that Cordell & Cordell is doing to help. We have now reduced our initial deposit or retainer. Also, there's no longer a charge for initial consultations for those who retain. And finally, we now provide on the front end a maximum fee pledge for certain modification and support matters. The bottom line is that to be a partner men can count on, we have to think about all their needs, and attorney fees are no exception.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
I'm real trial attorney Victor Harding from the Warshevsky Law Firm. When you're injured due to someone else's fault, it is about the money. Here's why. If you're in a car accident, the at-fault driver's insurance is against you, your own insurance is against you, your health insurance is against you. All of them want to limit what you receive. When dealing with these insurance companies, you are alone. When you or someone you love is injured due to someone else's fault, you need someone who will fight for your rights. You need someone on your side who has done this before, who's not afraid to take insurance companies to court. We take cases that other firms pass on because they are afraid of the challenge. We don't get paid unless we make a recovery for you. When you're injured, the Warshevsky Law Firm is the right choice. The choice insurance companies don't want you to make. Why? Because if you are injured, it is about the money. Warshevsky.com. That's Warshevsky.com.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show, the radical far-left political machine behind Mandela Barnes. Up now, at Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter. If you haven't given it a retweet, please do so. We need this story out so as many people in Wisconsin can fully understand just how far left Barnes's positions are. You can also share it, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. It is up right away. I believe we pinned it to the top of our Facebook page, but it's very, very quick and easy to find, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. Okay. We are going to play right now America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist, but we need your help. We need a contestant. We'll take caller number 7, lucky number 7 at 414-799-1130. That's our AccuNet Mortgage talk and text line, or 1-800-838-9476. Not only will you be playing for a chance to better understand your own role in America's systemic racism by describing and defining for me what previously benign, decidedly non-racist thing is now horribly bigoted, you will also be playing for a chance at a 4-pack of tickets for the Ride on the Wild Side event coming up next month at the Milwaukee County Zoo. It's presented by the Zoological Society, and it is your only chance during the year to ride your bike through the zoo. Seems to be pretty fun. I did it years and years and years ago. I seem to remember our kids were very young when we did the Ride on the Wild Side. By the way, is this weekend Zoo a la carte? Man, this summer is going way too quickly. Irish Fest is over. State Fair is over. State Fair and Irish Fest are sort of the two in southeast Wisconsin milestones that I say when they're done, I'm starting to think, oh my goodness, summer is over. All right, do we have a contestant, Dave? Are we ready? All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time now to play America's favorite game show.
Guess What's Racist?
And our contestant today is David in Mequon. David, welcome to Guess What's Racist, sir.
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, now I assume, as a loyal, long-time listener, you know how to play Guess What's Racist, correct?
I do.
All right. For those who are new to the show and are unfamiliar, every Wednesday, we give you, our listeners, a chance to better understand just what is now racist in society. Apparently, everything is now racist in society because I'm going to give David a list of 3 things. They're going to be related in some way, and they are not going to be overtly racist in any way. Like, I'm not going to give him Jim Crow laws. I'm not going to give him the Democratic Party for pretty much all of its history. I'm going to give him random things. One of those things, within the last couple of days, has been declared racist by a member of the media, an elected Democrat, or some combination thereof. All right, David, that's enough explanation. Do you know how to play? Are you ready to play, I should say?
Yes, I am.
All right, David, guess what's racist? National parks, national forests, or the National Mall?
Well, I know Mandela Barnes is brought up with the parks, the national parks. I'm going to go with the national parks.
You are correct, sir. David apparently was listening yesterday because, yes, indeed, Senate candidate Mandela Barnes, as we reported exclusively on a podcast last year, said national parks are inherently racist because they were not safe places for people of color, and they were set up for white people only to enjoy
It's
them.
important to create more welcoming spaces because spaces haven't always felt welcome. And that's historical, like just that perspective, given the fact that, national parks weren't made for the enjoyment of people who weren't white. National parks are on land that was indigenous.
In fact, the very first act declaring the very first national park, Yellowstone, in 1872, explicitly said that the park was for the enjoyment of all people. So yes, national parks are racist. You're 1 for 1, David. Question 2. Guess what's racist? This is rather ironic. The National Urban League, the NAACP, or the Southern Poverty Law Center. One of those anti-racist organizations is actually racist.
I'm going to say the Southern Poverty Law.
I'm sorry. The NAACP is now racist. The president of a local branch in Florida has resigned, saying that as a South Asian woman, she experienced racist marginalization from others in the group. Dr. Vanessa Toolsey announced her resignation on her Facebook page, saying she tried to handle the racism she faced behind the scenes from other members of the group, but was unable. She wrote, quote, "I will no longer tolerate any racism against me for being a proud brown woman of South Asian and Caribbean descent," adding, "The fact that I have consistently been made to endure this hateful racism in anti-racist spaces is abhorrently shameful." I'm as surprised as you folks are. The NAACP in Florida is apparently very, very racist. Along those lines, David, guess what's racist? The anti-racism movement, the anti-imperialism movement, or the anti-colonialism movement?
The anti-colonial movement.
No. In one of the greatest ironies in the history of Guess What's Racist, the anti-racism movement is now racist. The Canadian government has cut funding to an anti-racism initiative after one of its senior consultants was discovered to have made several anti-Semitic and racist tweets. Ahmed Hussein, Minister of Housing and Diversity and Inclusion, in a statement on Tuesday, condemned the tweets made by the Community Media Advocacy Center's senior consultant, Laith Maroof, as reprehensible and vile. And true to his word, they were reprehensible and vile. He's, of course, set his account to private, but according to screenshots of those tweets, Maroof frequently used vulgarities to describe people he accused of being Zionists and Jewish white supremacists, and also promoted treating them with a bullet to the head on multiple occasions. Seriously. All right, you're 1 for 3, David. I know you can bounce back, though. Guess what's racist? Home inspections, home appraisals, or home sales?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to say home sales.
No, I'm sorry. Home appraisals are now racist. Yep.
Oh, no.
In an interview with CNN just a couple of days ago, Housing and Urban Development Secretary Marcia Fudge says her department is examining the process in which home appraisers collect data, which she says is systemically biased against people of color. She claimed during that interview repeatedly that home appraisers will appraise home values owned by minorities lower than homes owned by whites, and sometimes significantly lower, and she is pledging to get to the bottom of why. All right, David, your final question. Artificial intelligence has been targeted as being racist for many, many months now. This might be one of the most bizarre ones. Guess what's racist? AI singers, AI actors, or AI rappers?
I'm going to say AI rappers.
That is correct. According to Billboard.com, the virtual rapper FN Mecca has been dropped by Capitol Records after a backlash over the character's racist stereotypes. Less than 2 weeks after signing the AI character, the record company says it severed ties with the project effective immediately following public charges of cultural appropriation and perpetuating racist stereotypes. Capitol Music Group said in a statement released on Tuesday, "We offer our deepest apologies to the black community for our insensitivity in signing this project without asking enough questions about equity and the creative process behind it." There's a massive outcry against this character, and he is an African-American man with green dreadlocks and a nose ring. He's an exaggerated version of a real person, you know, an AI avatar. are. Now, as a bonus question, can you guess what the FN Mecca Project's creators blamed for the Capitol Music Group dropping their character?
Oh, gosh.
Can you guess what they blamed it on?
I'm going to just say because it was created from an individual that is, I guess, white?
Nope. The creator of the project, at least one of the co-creators, is in fact black. And she's blaming racism on the part of the people who were covering the FN Mecca controversy for Capitol Music Group dropping the rapper. You see, FN Mecca is racist, but if you claim that FN Mecca is racist, according to the creator of FN Mecca, you too are racist. David, you got 2 of 5 questions correct. You did very, very well in Guess What's Racist. But unfortunately, you are still a big part. You personally are a big part of America's systemic racism. That doesn't matter, though. We're giving you a 4-pack of tickets to the Ride on the Wild Side event at the Milwaukee County Zoo. It's presented by the Zoological Society. Hold on the line. Producer Dave will get your information. We'll be right back on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Thank you all for listening and for playing along to America's favorite game show, Guess What's Racist?
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Hey there, if you're a business owner, you're going to want to listen to this. If your business has 5 employees or more, and if you manage to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of $26,000 per employee. That's right. And this isn't a loan. There's no payback. It's a refund of your taxes. The challenge is getting your hands on it. How do you cut through all the red tape and get your business the refund money? Go to getrefunds.com. You see, their tax attorneys are specialists in what is a really little known payroll tax refund program, and the attorneys do all the work. There's no charge up front, nothing like that. They simply share a percentage of the cash that they get for you, and businesses of all types can qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. Just go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. So don't miss out. It's no risk. It's high reward. It's getrefunds.com.
What you drive and where you get it matters. At Holiday Automotive in Fond du Lac, how we differ is the stuff that delights our guests. Members of Team Holiday talk about it this way.
Our mission is to make car buying fun.
Painless.
It should be exciting.
Here at Holiday, we work to earn the trust and respect of drivers from all over by providing genuine customer care that delights and makes fans of customers. It's fans who have made us Wisconsin's #1 GMC dealer and its #1 Buick dealer per 2021 GMC and Buick Zone sales records. Choose one that's in stock today or reserve one on the way. Whether you're considering new or a GM certified pre-owned model, you can begin your search from anywhere with Holiday at Home. It's online vehicle shopping simplified with delivery throughout Wisconsin because you're worth the trip. Find yours and discover the difference at Holiday Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC in Fond du Lac and at holidaygm.com. It's worth the trip.
I'm Dan Small. Join me and Jeff Kelm for Outdoors Radio, Saturday mornings at 6 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Brought to you by the Range of Richfield, the ultimate shooting experience on Helson Drive in Richfield and online at therangewi.com.
Hey, Pat, summer and baseball season are upon us. For some people, that means going to the ballpark, tackling home improvement projects, or looking for a new home.
That's right. With Cornerstone Community Bank, you won't find yourself in a pickle when house hunting in today's seller's market. We'll make sure you are ready to hit a home run with a meaningful pre-qualification letter while still on deck. That means no curveballs late in the game.
Also, a Cornerstone home equity line of credit will make sure none of your home improvement projects get left on base. Low interest rates and tax savings benefits. Now that's a line drive, right up the middle.
We know the sweet spot when it comes to residential lending. We service most of our loans locally. That means no 1-800 number to call or press 1 to talk to a mortgage professional.
Cornerstone Community Bank is your bank for small business and residential mortgage loans.
Cornerstone Community Bank, NMLS 565095, member FDIC and equal housing lender. Pat Beekler, NMLS 928118.
Tommy Mello here, owner of A1 Garage Doors. Call A1 Garage Doors for all your garage door needs, and you'll be smiling today.
A1Garage.com. A1 from day one.
Jay Weber here. If you're someone who is experiencing shoulder, hip, or knee pain and a total joint replacement may be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Find them at orthowisconsin.com. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
We've seen it all and we've solved it all. At Alliance Tax Resolution Firm, it's our mission to help you find a resolution to your IRS and state tax debt problems. Do you owe more than $25,000 in tax debt to the IRS or state and wonder how you're ever going to get back on track? We're here to tell you that there is a solution, a resolution. Bank levies, wage garnishments, high stress, and tax penalties are just some of the ways that tax debt can affect your business and personal life every day. The good news is it doesn't have to be this way. We don't focus on the past. We work with you to fix your future. We've helped thousands of people just like you solve their personal or business tax problems, and we want to assure you that you don't have to face it alone. We've got your back. Call or visit us online to schedule a free consultation. At Alliance Tax Resolution Firm, we haven't met a tax problem we can't solve. It only takes one call to find relief. 262-786-4442 or AllianceTaxUSA.com.
Dan O'Donnell here from my friends at Sinus and Snoring MD. Allergy season is here. Or is it a sinus infection? Not sure? The experts at Sinus and Snoring MD can help determine what's going on. Visit sinusandsnoringmd.com.
Your home cleaning friend, it's Edelman again. Edelman.
The Stuff They Don't Want You to Know podcast delves into popular culture's most persistent mysteries. Now, there's something else that the guys at Stuff They Don't Want You to Know want you to know. They've got a new book coming out. Packed with illustrations, the Stuff They Don't Want You to Know book is written in the same smart conversational style you love hearing on the podcast. Available October 11th. Pre-order now at StuffYouShouldReadBooks.com or wherever you buy your books.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN. The next generation is here. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Yeah, the funny thing about Guess What's Racist is that it's impossible to win. I mean, we had one, maybe two perfect games. One? You think just one? I think we've had two. Sometimes I do differing amounts of questions. I always try to get 5. Sometimes, just due to the constraints of time and other stuff I need to get to on the program, we only get to 3 questions. But our contestant David from Mequon got 2 of 5. That's pretty average. And what I'm trying to highlight is the insanity of the left in that everything and anything can be declared racist at any moment. If everything is racist, then nothing is racist. Governor Evers has reversed course this year on trying to hike taxes by $1 billion. All throughout the budget year last year, 2021, we do a biennial budget in this state for those unfamiliar with how Wisconsin policy works. Unlike pretty much every other state in the country, almost all of the policy that is set for the next 2 years is set in the governor's budget. His budget priorities are what policies get enacted. This is where some of the most significant pieces of policy have traditionally been put. The legislature does have the ability to take up the governor's budget, to change it, to, just sort of nix it in its entirety. And that's what the Republicans did, because Governor Evers' budget at the outset of 2021 was ridiculous. It increased taxes by $1 billion and dumped tens of billions of dollars that we didn't have into future education budgets. In fact, when the Republicans did rip it up, they said, look, all of the money that we have, all of the surplus that we have is because of a one-time, once in a possibly ever, infusion of federal money because of COVID relief. So Republicans said, look, we're not going to spend this sudden windfall that we have in rainy day money on K-12 education, which, by the way, has been massively funded. K-12 education in Wisconsin is not underfunded. In fact, I would argue that given the return on investment taxpayers have gotten, it's overfunded. But nonetheless, both Republicans and Democratic governors have increased exponentially how much money we're putting into K-12 education. Governor Evers actually threatened to veto Republicans' budget last year because it didn't raise taxes enough and because it didn't fund education to satisfactory levels. In a surprise move, he actually signed the Republican budget that cut taxes with minimal changes. He clearly saw his reelection fortunes riding on whether or not he was going to be able to say he cut taxes. Then in January, when there was an update to the state's projected windfall, he said, all right, we're going to give everybody $150 in tax credits. Every single person in Wisconsin gets $150. Republicans said, no, this is just an election year gimmick. We've got this rainy day fund. We need to keep it. We're not just going to give out willy-nilly $150. Have you not noticed that giving out $400+ stimulus checks has contributed significantly to inflation across the country? Now, Governor Evers is back saying he wants $600 billion in tax credits. He wants to eliminate the state's minimum markup on gasoline, which would immediately reduce the cost of gas by 30 cents, something Republicans, by the way, have been calling for a long time. Why is Evers suddenly calling for the revocation of the minimum markup law? Do you know? What was the big issue with Tim Michels in the primary? Was the gas tax. Exactly. Dave, you are absolutely right. What Governor Evers is setting up is saying, Tim Michels lobbied to increase the gas tax. I want to eliminate Wisconsin's minimum markup on gasoline. I want to save you money. He would increase the price you're paying on gas. Now, of course, PolitiFact stepped in and said, well, this is false. Rebecca Clayfish's attacks on Tim Michels and the gas tax are false. Do you think they'll step in again once the inevitable attacks start from Evers? Of course not. Evers also, I don't think it was a coincidence. In fact, I know it wasn't a coincidence. Announced his $600 billion tax cut on August 23rd. Why is that date significant? It's the 2-year anniversary of the Jacob Blake shooting and the first of 3 nights of rioting in Kenosha. It was easily, as Michels said in an interview yesterday, Governor Evers' biggest failure. The fact that he could not get Kenosha under control, the fact that he did not deploy National Guard troops in sufficient numbers that officials in Kenosha were begging for, the fact that he put out an incendiary statement at the exact moment that rioters were gathering in Kenosha 2 years ago. He was, more than arguably any other human being, responsible for the 3 nights of devastation in Kenosha because of his refusal to put National Guard troops on the ground and immediately shut down the rioting. It's amazing. Once they were deployed in sufficient numbers, the rioting was done. That Thursday night, the night following the Kyle Rittenhouse shootings, when Evers finally said, okay, fine, we'll deploy the Guard in sufficient numbers, rioting stopped instantly. He could have done that immediately, knowing how much of a powder keg Kenosha was following the social media release of the Jacob Blake shooting video. He could have done it immediately. Okay, you could argue, well, you know what? He couldn't have seen it coming, even though everybody in the world could see it. The following night, he calls for just 125 National Guard troops. Kenosha is saying, we need 750. The White House was saying, we'll make up the difference. 500 troops said, nope, we're good. The following night, 250 troops still rioting. That was the night of the Kyle Rittenhouse shootings. Finally, there are enough National Guard soldiers to quell the unrest. So he announces this $600 million tax cut on the Kenosha anniversary to take the headlines away from that and put it on his supposed tax cutting.
The Dan O'Donnell Show is coming right back.
Sizzling summer clearance savings are only a short drive away at Wisconsin's RV travel and camping leader. That's Cunis Freedom RV of Slinger, Wisconsin's #1 RV and camper headquarters, representing America's most best-selling camper brands, including Jayco, Winnebago, Alliance RV, Keystone, Cherokee, Coachman, and Gulfstream. Sizzling summer clearance savings up to $10,000 on select travel trailers, motorhomes, fifth wheels, and toy haulers. Now with low APR financing and payments as low as $149 per month. Plus blowout pricing on our entire inventory of select pre-owned RVs and campers, saving you thousands. No reasonable offer will be refused until this clearance event ends on Labor Day. We are the Midwest's fastest growing RV camper sales and service destination. Red hot sizzling summer clearance savings are going on now exclusively at Cunis Freedom RV, just off I-41 North at 825 Addison Road in Slinger, Wisconsin, or shop online at CunisRV.com.
Welcome to This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell here alongside the president and CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. And this week, the eyes of the financial world, Dave, are going to be on Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah, that's right. And so annually there's a symposium, Dan, that all of these economists get together. And it's not just the Federal Reserve, it's economists, it's hedge fund managers, but we're also going to see people from the Bank of England and the Bank of Japan and around the world. And why that's important is because of monetary theory around the world. In every one of these areas, they have their own concerns. For example, in England, right now, inflation is above 13%, and fuel continues to be a very big issue. We just heard this past week that the Russians are probably going to slow down or stop Nord Stream altogether, and that is, of course, their input to energy into England, and, of course, issues on the other side of the world in China and Japan. So the United States continues to be concerned about inflation, and that is going to be the key concern coming out of Jackson Hole. What is the Federal Reserve going to do? Are they going to continue down this path of raising interest rates until they finally slow down inflation? That is the big question, Dan, and that's where we're going to have to watch. Look for any news reports coming out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, followed up by the Federal Reserve and what they say. Go through your portfolio, folks. Know what you own, why you own it, and how much you're paying for it, because right now, with all of the uncertainty around the world, it's never been more important.
No, it hasn't, and that's why you absolutely do need to get to AnnexWealth.com for a free portfolio review. It's called a wealth metric, and you can get it by going to AnnexWealth.com. For Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. Thanks so much for listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Identity theft shows no sign of slowing down. In fact, more than $14 billion stolen last year. That's a criminal success story and a wake-up call. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent identity theft, but everyone can save 25% on their first year of protection with promo code BECK at LifeLock.com. LifeLock.com, promo code BECK.
This is it. Your last chance to win $5,000 a week forever from Publishers Clearinghouse. There are just days left to enter. Win $5,000 a week for your life. Then after that, someone you choose gets $5,000 a week for their life. But you must enter at PCH.com before it's too late. Leave a legacy for your loved ones. Hurry, time is running out. So enter now at PCH.com. $5,000 a week forever. Don't miss your last chance to win it this August 31st. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 8/29. No purchase necessary. Void or prohibited.
If you're looking for the finest of furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
Let Tri-County Contracting take care of the outside of your home so you don't have to. Worry-free roofing, siding, and windows from Tri-County Contracting. Call us at 262-679-6100 or visit us online at tricountycontractingwi.com.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Common sense, a rare commodity in 21st century America. If you're on a quest for insightful commentary, enterprise reporting, and a dose of material show that's just plain cool, make a daily stop at Common Sense Central at newstalk1130.com. Dan O'Donnell digs up the stories that you simply won't find anywhere else.
Common Sense Central is presented by Positive Energy, an effort by American Transmission Company to match charitable organizations with the volunteer power needed to carry out their mission. Learn more at newstalk1130.com/positive energy.
You know what Governor Evers also said this week? Interview that he apparently did with the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel on Monday, published this morning. He said Kenosha was a, quote, dead issue. His handling of the Kenosha riots, it's a dead issue. You know why he said that? Because it's obviously a huge, huge issue. In fact, if there's a tagline for the Tim Michels campaign, what would it be? From COVID to Kenosha, Governor Evers has failed Wisconsin. Expect to hear that a lot, because not only do you have what all advertising people love, they love that alliteration, you know, the same sound in a sentence. COVID to Kenosha. It's true. Were there any bigger failures than Governor Evers locking down the state, the safer at home order, the mask mandates? All of his COVID policy was just an unmitigated disaster, vaccine mandates and the like. He's trying his best to make people forget about that. And Kenosha was just sort of the sum total of his just feckless leadership that quite literally led to people dying. It led to people losing their livelihoods, losing their jobs, losing their businesses. The images of a major Wisconsin city burning, and burning for several nights because the governor wouldn't deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers and was instead bemoaning and inciting, I will use that word, inciting the angry mob by saying, this is not the first time an innocent black man has been mercilessly killed by police or shot and injured by police. He had none of the facts, and what we now know is that everyone in power in Wisconsin knew the facts almost instantly, within a matter of probably 3 days, maybe even a couple of days. I had the criminal complaint against Jacob Blake for third-degree sexual assault. Governor Evers knew that Blake was, within hours, I said Jacob Blake was armed. That's a curved blade knife in his hand. He knew it too. All right, we are out of time. Back tomorrow. Thanks, everyone, for listening to today's edition of The Dan O'Donnell Show.